A Werewolf Shifter Romance, written by Amelia Hart. Chapter 1. Shadows of the Past. The scent of wolfsbane mixed with dried lavender fills my lungs as I grind the herbs in Moira's worn stone mortar. My hands move in steady circles, the rhythm as familiar as breathing after 16 years of doing this exact task. Outside the cottage window, fog clings to the jagged peaks of the stony mountains, turning the world into shades of gray and green. I'm 21 years old, and this isolated peak is the only home I truly remember. Moira hums while she works at the hearth, her weathered hands sorting through bundles of chamomile. At 68, she moves slower than she once did, but her mind remains sharp as the iron blade she uses to harvest roots. She found me when I was 5, pulled me from the ashes of a nightmare I've spent 16 years trying to forget. My parents died on a stone platform in the Capitol Square. I remember the crowd, the smell of fear, and my mother's final scream before the executioner's blade fell. They called my parents conspirators, claimed they worked with witches against the crown. I was too young to understand politics or treason. I only understood that my father would never lift me onto his shoulders again, and my mother would never sing me to sleep. Moira appeared that night, a hooded figure who snatched me from the orphanage before the soldiers could return to finish what they started. She brought me here, to this cottage where the clouds touch the earth, and civilization feels like a distant dream. She taught me to read, to heal, to survive. She also taught me to hide. Because I'm different. I've always been different. The first time I heard the voice, I was 14. A gray wolf had wandered close to our cottage, drawn by the smell of drying meat. I watched it from the window, fascinated by its silver-tipped fur and intelligent amber eyes. Then, clear as morning bells, I heard words in my mind. Hungry. Cold. Safe here? I'd gasped, stumbled backward, knocked over a basket of dried mushrooms. Moira had rushed to my side, gripping my shoulders with surprising strength. "What did you hear?" she demanded. "The wolf," I whispered. It spoke to me. Moira's expression had shifted through surprise, fear, and finally something that looked almost like recognition. She made me describe it, every detail, every word. Then she'd sat me down and explained what I was. Special, gifted, dangerous. "Never tell anyone," she warned. "There are those who would use you, and others who would kill you for having such a gift." Since then, I've spoken to dozens of wild wolves. They come sometimes, drawn by something they can't explain, and I listen to their thoughts. They tell me about the herds moving through the valleys, the rival packs in the eastern forests, the humans who hunt with iron traps. They call me sister, though I've never understood why. Moira knows more than she's ever told me. I see it in the way she watches me heal too quickly from cuts that should scar, the way my reflexes catch falling objects before my conscious mind registers they've dropped. She's hiding something about my past, something beyond the execution I witnessed. But today, apparently, the secrets are coming home to roost. I hear them before I see them. The wolves in the forest send warnings through my mind, anxious whispers about men in armor and horses with iron shoes. I set down the mortar and move to the window, my heartbeat picking up speed. "Moira," I say quietly, "we have visitors." She joins me at the window, her face creasing with worry. Through the fog, shapes emerge. 6 soldiers on horseback, their armor marked with the royal crest, metal gleaming dully in the gray light. A dire wolf, massive and gray, lopes beside them. At the front rides a man with copper hair and a bearing that speaks of authority. "Royal Guard." Moira breathes. They've never come this far before. My hands tremble. I clench them into fists. "What do they want?" "You." The certainty in her voice makes my stomach drop. "How do you know?" "Because I've been expecting them for 16 years. Before I can demand an explanation, the soldiers reach our cottage. The copper-haired man dismounts, and his movements carry the fluid grace of something more than human. A shifter. I can sense it now. A presence that raises the hair on my arms and sends an unfamiliar tingle down my spine. Moira opens the door before they can knock. "I am Beta Finn Riverstone, second to the Alpha King Gareth Stormcliff," the man announces. His voice is formal, but not unkind. "I seek an audience with the occupants of this dwelling." "You found us," Moira replies. Her shoulders are squared, her chin lifted in defiance despite her age. "State your business." Finn's gaze sweeps past her and lands on me. Something flickers in his expression. Recognition? Assessment? The Alpha King is dying. We've been sent to find anyone with gifts related to wolves. Those who can communicate, heal, or sense things others cannot. His attention focuses entirely on me now. "You fit the description we've been given." "I don't know what you're talking about," I say, but my voice wavers. "The girl has no such gifts," Moira interjects. "She's a simple healer's apprentice. Nothing more." Finn steps closer, and his dire wolf companion growls softly. "With respect, wise woman. We both know that's not true." He looks at me again. "The Alpha King has 56 days until the next lunar eclipse. If he isn't cured by then, he dies, and every pack in the realm falls into chaos. War will follow. We need your help." "She has no obligation to your king," Moira snaps. "The crown took everything from her once already." Finn's expression softens slightly. "I know who she is. I know what happened to Arendor and Mayor Wyndham." The use of my parents' names strikes me with unexpected force, reopening wounds I thought had scarred over. The old king was a tyrant. King Gareth is different. He spent 4 years trying to undo his father's cruelties. That doesn't erase them, I say through gritted teeth. "No," Finn agrees. "It doesn't. But if the king dies, Lord Hadric Grimthorn takes the throne, and Hadric makes the old king look merciful by comparison." The name means nothing to me, but I see Moira's face go pale. "You can't take her," Moira says. But there's defeat in her voice now. She's not ready. She doesn't understand what she is. Then perhaps it's time she learned. Finn's gaze returns to me, and I see genuine urgency there. "I won't lie to you. The journey is dangerous, and I can't guarantee the king will survive even with your help. But you're our last hope. Will you come? I want to refuse. Every instinct screams to stay hidden, stay safe, stay in the only home I've known. But there's something else stirring inside me. Something that's been sleeping for too long. The wolves in the forest are watching, waiting. They whisper encouragement in my mind. Go. Discover. Become. What happens if I refuse? I ask. Finn's jaw tightens. I have orders to bring anyone with gifts back to the capital. I'd prefer to do so with your consent. A threat, then. Politely worded, but a threat nonetheless. Moira's hand finds mine, squeezes once. When I look at her, tears shine in her weathered eyes. Your blood knows truths that your mind has forgotten, she whispers. Trust the wild wolves, Brenna. They will guide you when I cannot. She's letting me go. After 16 years of protecting me, hiding me, raising me as her own, she's letting them take me, which means she believes I need to go. I take a shaking breath and turn to Finn. I'll come, but I make no promises to help your king. I'll see what he needs first. Finn nods, relief clear on his face. That's all we ask. Gather what you need. We leave within the hour. As I move through the cottage collecting herbs, a spare dress, my mother's silver locket that Moira saved from the execution, my mind races. 56 days until an eclipse. A dying king. And somehow, impossibly, they think I can help. I don't know what awaits me in the capital. I don't know if I'm strong enough for whatever is coming. But as I step outside, and the wild wolves send their farewells echoing through my mind, I feel something shift inside my chest. Something that's been locked away for far too long. Maybe Moira is right. Maybe my blood does know truths my mind has forgotten. I guess I'm about to find out. Chapter 2. The King's Burden. The journey to Castle Iron Peak takes 6 days. 6 days of riding through forests that grow less wild with each passing mile. 6 days of feeling the presence of shifters around me. A constant hum beneath my skin that I've never experienced before. It's the 8th day since I left Moira's cottage, when the castle finally comes into view. Iron Peak rises from the valley floor, as if the mountain itself birthed it from stone and ambition. Gray towers pierce the morning sky. their banners snapping in the wind. The outer walls stretch wider than any structure I've ever imagined, encircling a sprawling fortress that houses the heart of the shifter realm. My hands tighten on the reins of the mare Finn provided. 49 days remain until the eclipse. 49 days for me to do what dozens of healers and wise women have apparently failed to accomplish. The thought makes my stomach twist. We pass through 3 sets of gates, each more heavily guarded than the last. Shifters in human form stand watch, but I can feel their wolves just beneath the surface, restless and aware. They track me with eyes that hold too much intelligence, too much suspicion. They can sense you're different, Finn says quietly as we enter the inner courtyard. Don't let it unnerve you. Too late for that. The courtyard bustles with activity. Servants carry bundles, guards drill in formation, and everywhere I look, I see power barely contained. These aren't the simple folk I'm used to. These are predators wearing human skin. Finn helps me dismount. The Council of 7 has convened to meet you. They'll want to assess whether you're worth the king's time. Assess me? My voice comes out sharper than intended. Standard procedure. Finn's expression is apologetic. The king is vulnerable right now. They're protective. He leads me through corridors of polished stone, past tapestries depicting great battles and ancient pacts. The castle smells of wood smoke, leather, and something else. Something primal that makes my pulse quicken. We climb a spiral staircase and emerge into a long hallway lined with carved wooden doors. At the end stands a set of double doors, easily twice my height, emblazoned with a wolf beneath a crown. The throne room. Finn pauses before opening them. Remember, the king is not his father. Give him a chance. Before I can respond, he pushes the doors open. The throne room is vast. Sunlight streams through high windows, illuminating a space designed to intimidate. 7 chairs arc in a semicircle before a raised dais. 6 are occupied by men and women whose ages vary, but whose presence radiates authority. The 7th, at the center of the arc, stands empty. On the dais sits a throne of black iron and dark wood, and upon that throne sits a man who makes my breath catch in my throat. Alpha King Gareth Stormcliffe is nothing like I expected. He's young, only 29. Finn mentioned during our journey. His hair is black as a raven's wing, falling just past his collar. His face is all sharp angles and hard lines, a scar cutting through his right eyebrow, giving him a dangerous edge, but it's his eyes that hold me frozen. Blue as winter ice, yet burning with an intensity that seems to look straight through me. Even sitting, he radiates power. Broad shoulders strain against a dark tunic. His hands grip the throne's armrests, and I can see the tension in every line of his body. He's dying. I can feel it now, a wrongness that pulses from him in waves only I seem to notice. It's like standing near a fire that gives off cold instead of heat. "Brenna Wyndham," he says, and his voice is deep, commanding. Approach. My feet move before my brain gives permission. I'm vaguely aware of Finn taking his place at the king's right side, but my attention remains locked on Gareth. When I'm 10 paces from the throne, I stop. Our eyes meet, and something slams into my chest. Not pain exactly, but a jolt of recognition that has no logical explanation. I feel his exhaustion, his desperation, his iron will holding back the darkness consuming him from within. The connection terrifies me. "Kneel before your king," a sharp voice commands. I tear my gaze away to look at the council. The man who spoke sits to the far left, older, with graying hair and cold brown eyes that assess me as if I'm a piece of meat at market. Something about him sets my teeth on edge. "Lord Hadric Grimthorne," Finn says quietly. "The king's cousin and chief counselor. So this is the man Finn warned me about." "I don't kneel," I say, surprised by the steadiness of my voice. "Not to the son of the man who murdered my parents." Gasps ripple through the room. Hadric's eyes narrow dangerously, but Gareth holds up a hand, silencing the room. "She has that right." His gaze returns to me, and I see something unexpected there. Remorse. "Your parents were Arendor and Mare Wyndham. They were executed 16 years ago for conspiracy against the crown. My father ordered their deaths. Hearing it stated so plainly, so publicly, steals my breath. I was 13 when it happened. Gareth continues. Too young to stop it, too powerless to intervene. When I took the throne 4 years ago, I began investigating my father's so-called conspiracies. Most were innocents, killed for the crime of being different or knowing too much. His jaw clenches. I can't undo what was done. But I can tell you the truth. Your parents deserved better than they received. You deserved better. The apology hangs in the air between us. It doesn't erase the past. It doesn't bring my parents back, but it's more than I expected. Why am I here? I ask. Because I'm dying. He says it matter-of-factly, as if discussing the weather. 3 years ago, I returned from peace negotiations in the borderlands. I woke the next morning feeling wrong. At first I thought it was exhaustion. Then my wolf began to fade. He stands, and I see how the movement costs him. He's tall, easily a head taller than me, but there's a fragility beneath the strength, a brittleness that shouldn't exist in a man his age. Every shifter is half human, half wolf, he explains. We need both halves to survive. My wolf is dying, and when it dies, I'll die with it. I have 49 days left. How do you know? The royal astronomers track the heavens. The next lunar eclipse occurs in 49 days. On that night, at the height of the eclipse, my wolf will fade completely. His eyes bore into mine. We've searched for a cure for 3 years. We've found nothing. Until we heard rumors of a woman in the mountains who speaks to wild wolves. What makes you think I can help? Because you're the only one who can hear what they know. He descends the dais, moving closer. The wrongness intensifies, and I realize it's not coming from him. It's coming from whatever is attached to him. Wild wolves remember things our kind has forgotten. Ancient knowledge, old magic, cures that predate written history. He stops 3 paces away, close enough that I can see the exhaustion etched into his face. The dark circles beneath his eyes, the way his hands tremble slightly before he clenches them into fists. I don't know how I was cursed, he admits, and vulnerability cracks through his authoritative demeanor. I don't know who did this, or why. All I know is that I'm running out of time, and if I die without an heir, Hadric takes the throne. The natural order of succession. Hadric interjects smoothly, though of course we all pray it doesn't come to that, cousin. The way he says cousin makes my skin crawl. Gareth ignores him, keeping his focus on me. I'm asking for your help, Brenna. Not as a king to a subject, but as one desperate soul to another. Will you at least try? I should refuse. I should demand to be sent back to my mountain, back to Moira, back to safety. But the words won't come, because despite everything, despite my parents' deaths, despite my fear, despite my better judgment, I can feel his sincerity, and I can feel the darkness eating him alive. I'll try to diagnose what's wrong with you, I say carefully. I make no promises beyond that. Relief washes over his face. That's all I ask. Your Majesty. Hadric stands, his voice oozing false concern. Surely you don't intend to trust this girl so quickly. Witches are known for their deception. What if she's allied with whoever cursed you? What if this is a trap? Then she's had 6 days to kill me on the road and failed spectacularly, Finn says dryly. A few of the other council members chuckle, but Hadric's expression remains cold. I merely advise caution, my king. We know nothing of her loyalties, which is why she'll be housed in the guest wing, Gareth says firmly. Under guard, but treated with respect. He looks at me. Is that acceptable? Imprisoned in luxury. How generous. Do I have a choice? You can leave whenever you wish, Gareth says. But I hope you'll stay long enough to see if you can help. A lie, probably. But a pretty one. Show her to her chambers, Gareth tells Finn. Then to me. Rest today. Tomorrow we'll begin. Finn leads me out through a side door. As we leave, I glance back once and catch Gareth watching me with an expression I can't quite read. Hope, maybe. Or desperation. Behind him, Hadric's calculating gaze follows me until the doors close. The guest chambers are beautiful. A 4-poster bed draped in deep blue fabric dominates the room. A fireplace crackles cheerfully. Windows overlook the valley, and a table laden with bread, cheese, and fruit sits waiting. It's a cage, but a gilded one. I'm picking at the food when a knock sounds at the door. It's late, hours after sunset. I open it to find Gareth standing in the hallway, alone. "May I come in?" he asks. I should say no. Instead, I step aside. He enters, and immediately the room feels smaller. He's changed from his formal attire into simpler clothing, a dark shirt and leather trousers. His hair is damp, as if he's recently bathed. "I wanted to speak without the council watching," he says. "To thank you properly. I haven't done anything yet. You came. That's more than I had yesterday." He moves to the window, staring out at the darkness. "Do you feel it? The wrongness?" "Yes," I admit. "It's like something cold is wrapped around you. That's more than anyone else has perceived." He turns to face me. "When you looked at me in the throne room, I felt something. Did you?" My heart hammers. "I don't know what you mean. Don't you?" He takes a step closer. "Your reflexes are too fast. When you caught that pitcher of water at lunch before it spilled, you moved faster than any human could. You're something more than you appear, Brenna Wyndham." "I'm nobody," I whisper. I don't believe that. His gaze searches my face. "But I won't push. You have your secrets, as do I." He moves toward the door, then pauses. 49 days. Help me find a cure. And I swear I'll answer any question you have about your parents. About why they really died. Because Hadrick is wrong about one thing. I do know more than I said. He leaves before I can respond, the door clicking shut behind him. I stand frozen, my mind racing. The king is dying. Hadrick wants the throne, and somehow, impossibly, I'm caught in the middle of it all. The wild wolves outside send whispers through my mind. "Careful, sister. The shadows here run deep." I'm beginning to think they're right. Chapter 3. Whispers and Warnings. 11 days have passed since I arrived at Iron Peak. 11 days of testing Gareth's patience and my own courage. 36 days remain until the eclipse. The castle gardens sprawl across 3 acres of carefully tended grounds. Stone pathways wind through beds of herbs and flowers, past fountains that tinkle softly in the morning air, but it's not the beauty that draws me here. It's the wolves. 6 of them live in an enclosure at the garden's edge. Domesticated wolves, raised from pups within the castle walls. They're not shifters, but they're not entirely wild either. Something in between, Finn explained when he first brought me here 3 days ago. Today, I've finally convinced Gareth to let me try communicating with them. He stands beside me now, watching as I approach the enclosure's iron gate. The wolves pace restlessly, their amber eyes tracking every movement. They're magnificent, gray and silver and black, muscles rippling beneath thick fur. "Are you certain this is safe?" Gareth asks. His voice is rougher than usual, strained. He's been growing weaker. I can see it in the way he moves, the way exhaustion clings to him. "No," I answer honestly, "but we're running out of options." He doesn't argue. He can't afford to. I open the gate and step inside. The wolves go still, their attention locked on me with predatory focus. My heart hammers against my ribs, but I force myself to breathe slowly, evenly. I've spoken to wild wolves countless times, but those were free creatures who came and went as they pleased. These wolves are trapped, tamed, their wildness constrained. I don't know if they'll respond to me the same way. I kneel in the grass and close my eyes, reaching out with that part of me that's always been different, the part Moira never understood, the part that makes me feel both powerful and terrified. Sister, the word echoes in my mind, and my eyes snap open. The largest wolf, a massive male with silver-tipped fur, approaches slowly. He stops a pace away, head lowered, ears forward. "Sister, why do you smell of shadows?" My breath catches. "What shadows?" The wolf tilts his head. "The king wolf. He carries death. Green death. Shadow death. It wraps around him, tighter each moon. Soon it will swallow him whole. Can you tell me more?" I push urgency into my thoughts. "What kind of death? Where does it come from?" The wolf's lips pull back, revealing fangs. "Not a threat. Unease. Old magic. Old anger. It eats from inside, turning wolf heart to stone. Cannot shift, cannot heal, cannot live. We smell it on you too now. Faint, but growing. Ice floods my veins. What do you mean, on me too? Before the wolf can answer, Gareth calls out from beyond the gate. Brenna? What's happening? I stand, my legs unsteady. The wolves back away, whimpering softly. The connection fades. They spoke to you, Gareth says as I exit the enclosure. It's not a question. He's watching me with an intensity that makes my skin prickle. What did they say? I hesitate. Should I tell him about the shadow on me? Would it only add to his burden? They say you carry something they call green death. I explain carefully. Old magic that's eating you from the inside, preventing your wolf from healing. They say it smells like shadows and anger. Gareth's jaw clenches. Did they say how to stop it? No, but they implied it's a curse, not a natural illness. I meet his eyes. Have you angered anyone? Any enemies who might have access to magic? I'm a king, he says dryly. I have dozens of enemies, but none I know of with that kind of power. He runs a hand through his hair, frustration evident. 3 years I've been searching for answers. There might be another way. The words come out before I can stop them. Wild wolves know things these domesticated ones don't. Ancient knowledge passed down through generations. If I could speak to a truly wild pack? No. His response is immediate, sharp. It's too dangerous. The forests beyond the walls are full of rogues and bandits. Then you'll die. I don't soften the words. He needs to hear them. Because your healers can't help you. Your counsel is useless. And sitting in this castle waiting won't save you. He stares at me, conflict warring across his features. Finally, he sighs. I'll consider it, but not yet. First, I want you to search the royal library. If this is a curse, there might be historical precedent. It's a compromise. I nod. I'll start today. We walk back through the gardens in silence. As we pass a stone bench, I notice a woman watching us. She's older, maybe 50, with sharp features and calculating eyes. When she sees me looking, she offers a cold smile. Lady Sybil Thornberry, Gareth says quietly, a member of the council. She's been curious about you. The way he says curious suggests it's not a good thing. Lady Sybil approaches with measured steps. Your Majesty, I hope I'm not interrupting. Not at all, Lady Sybil. Her gaze shifts to me, assessing but silent. She offers a faint smile, one that hides more than it reveals, then simply says, We shall see. Her footsteps fade into the gardens, leaving unease behind. The library is exactly what I need. Vast, quiet, and free of suspicious courtiers. Finn helps me pull volumes on curses, ancient magic, and pack histories. We work through the afternoon, searching for anything that matches Gareth's symptoms. It's Finn who finds the first reference. Here, he says, sliding a leather-bound tome across the table. Tears of the Moon. It's mentioned in a collection of folk legends. I lean over to read. The text is old, the language archaic, but the meaning is clear enough. The Tears of the Moon is supposedly a rare flower that blooms only during lunar eclipses. According to legend, it has properties that can cure any ailment, break any curse. It's a myth, Finn says. No one has actually seen this flower in centuries. Myths usually have some basis in truth. I counter. What if the wild wolves know where it grows? If it grows at all. But Finn looks thoughtful. You'd need to ask them. And that means leaving the castle. Exactly what Gareth doesn't want me to do. I spend the next week splitting my time between the library and the garden wolves, piecing together fragments of information. The castle watches me constantly now, thanks to Lady Sybil's poison. Servants avert their eyes when I pass. Guards grip their weapons tighter. Only Gareth seems unaffected by the rumors. He visits me daily, sometimes in the library, sometimes in the gardens, always asking what I've learned. The conversations grow longer. He tells me about his coronation, about the reforms he's tried to implement, about his frustration with the council's resistance to change. I find myself looking forward to these visits more than I should. On the 20th day since I arrived, the first lunar cycle completes. The full moon rises over Iron Peak, fat and silver and beautiful, and Gareth collapses during the transformation. I'm in the library when Finn bursts through the door, his face pale. Come quickly. The king tried to shift for the moon ceremony. His wolf... He can't finish the sentence. I run. The transformation chamber is deep within the castle, a vast stone room with a ceiling open to the sky. Gareth lies on the floor, his body caught between forms. Neither fully human nor fully wolf, but something broken in between. His breathing comes in shallow gasps, his skin sheened with sweat. Gareth. I drop to my knees beside him, my hands hovering uselessly. I've never seen anything like this. His eyes open, and they're not quite human anymore. More gold than blue, wild with pain. Brenna, he manages. Can't complete the shift. Don't try, I beg. Stay human. Just stay human. Slowly, agonizingly, his body pulls itself back into human form. When it's done, he lies there trembling, utterly spent. 36 days, he whispers. How many do I really have? I look at Finn, at the fear in his eyes, and I know the answer neither of us wants to say aloud. Not enough. Not nearly enough. That night, I make a decision. Tomorrow, I'll demand we leave for the forests. No more waiting, no more research, no more half measures, because the king is dying faster than anyone predicted, and I'm running out of time to save him, if I even can. Chapter 4. Into the Wild. The expedition departs at dawn, 12 days after Gareth's failed transformation. 24 days remain until the eclipse. I watch from horseback as Castle Iron Peak shrinks behind us, its gray towers fading into morning mist. Part of me feels relief at leaving the suspicious stares and whispered accusations. Another part worries about what might happen out here, beyond the castle's protective walls. Gareth rides at the front, his posture straight despite the exhaustion I know weighs on him. He refused to stay behind. If we find a cure, I need to be there, he'd said with finality that brooked no argument. Finn rides beside him, ever vigilant. Behind them, 6 guards in the king's colors follow. Their names blur together, except for 2 who caught my attention this morning. Brothers, apparently. The older one, Torvin, watches me with eyes that linger too long. His younger brother, Aldous, avoids looking at me entirely. Something about them sets my teeth on edge. You feel it too, a voice says beside me. I turn to find a guard with a scar running through her left eyebrow. Feel what? Those 2. She jerks her chin toward Torvin and Aldous. They volunteered for this expedition. Insisted, actually. Strange, considering most wanted to stay behind where it's safe. Maybe they're just loyal. Maybe. But she doesn't sound convinced. I'm Jessa, by the way. Been with the King's Guard for 8 years. I file that information away as we ride deeper into the wilderness. The Black Forest earns its name. Ancient trees grow so thick their canopy blocks most sunlight, casting everything in perpetual twilight. The air smells of moss, decay, and wild things. No paths mark our way. Finn navigates by instinct, following game trails and stream beds. By afternoon, we've left all traces of civilization behind. We'll make camp here, Gareth announces as we reach a clearing beside a narrow river. Tomorrow we push deeper. Brenna, do you sense any wolves nearby? I close my eyes and reach out with that strange sense that connects me to them. At first, nothing. Then, faint as breath, I feel presences watching from the shadows. Wild wolves, curious but wary. They're here, I say quietly, but they won't come close, not with so many shifters present. They can smell what you are. Gareth exchanges a glance with Finn. Then we'll need to send you ahead alone. Absolutely not, Finn says immediately. It's too dangerous. I can protect myself better than you think. It's not your abilities I doubt, Finn counters. It's the 100 other threats in these woods. Rogues, bandits, animals that won't be charmed by your gift. He's right, Gareth says reluctantly. We need another solution. We make camp while the light holds. Torvin and Aldous volunteer for first watch. Jessa sets snares for rabbits. The other guards tend to the horses. I find myself helping Gareth set up his tent. It's a task he'd normally refuse help with, but I can see how much even simple movements cost him now. His hands tremble slightly as he stakes the canvas. You shouldn't have come. I say softly. This journey is taxing you. Everything taxes me now. He secures the final stake with more force than necessary. At least out here, I'm doing something instead of rotting in that castle. Gareth, tell me something. He turns to face me, and in the fading light his eyes look more gold than blue. Do you ever regret coming? Leaving your mountain, your safety, for a dying king you barely know? The question catches me off guard. No, I answer truthfully. I regret a lot of things in my life. This isn't one of them. Something shifts in his expression. He takes a step closer, close enough that I can feel the heat radiating from him. Why not? Because sitting on that mountain, hiding, that wasn't living. It was existing. Maybe I can't save you. Maybe we'll fail, but at least I'll have tried something that matters. He reaches up, his fingers barely grazing my cheek. The touch is gentle, tentative. You matter, Brenna. Whether you save me or not, you matter. My breath catches. We're standing too close, the air charged with something I'm afraid to name. His gaze drops to my lips. Your Majesty. Finn's voice shatters the moment. We've spotted movement in the trees. Gareth steps back. Wolves? Can't tell. Could be rogues. The camp shifts into alert mode. Guards draw weapons, forming a defensive perimeter. I reach out with my senses and feel them. Not wolves, but something else. Shifters, but wrong somehow. Feral. Rogues, I confirm. 3 of them. They're circling. Gareth moves to the center of camp, and despite his weakened state, his alpha presence rolls out in waves. Show yourselves or leave. This territory is claimed. Silence. Then from the shadows, 3 figures emerge. They're in human form, but barely. Their eyes reflect the firelight with an animal's glow. The Alpha King, one of them rasps. Heard you were dying. Smells true. Gareth doesn't flinch. Then you know I have nothing to lose. Leave now, or test me. The rogues consider this. Finally, the speaker nods. We go. But the girl, his eyes fix on me. She smells wrong. Not human, not quite shifter. What is she? None of your concern, Gareth says, his voice dangerous. The rogues retreat into the darkness, but I can feel their curiosity. They'll follow us, watching for weakness. That night, I can't sleep. Every sound makes me jump. I'm lying in my bedroll when I hear voices, low and furtive. I slip outside silently. Near the edge of the clearing, I see 2 figures huddled together. Torvin and Aldous. I move closer, keeping to shadows. Tomorrow at the river crossing, Torvin whispers. Make it look like an accident. And if the king interferes, Aldous sounds nervous. He won't. He can barely shift. Just make sure she doesn't survive the fall. They're talking about me. Ice floods my veins. Before I can move, a hand covers my mouth from behind. Don't make a sound. Finn breathes in my ear. I've been watching them too. He releases me, and we retreat silently to Gareth's tent. Inside, the king is still awake, poring over a map. We have a problem, Finn says quietly. I explain what I heard. Gareth's expression goes cold. Hadric's men, he says. I should have known. What do we do? I ask. We spring their trap, Gareth replies. But we control it. The next morning, we break camp and continue deeper. The river crossing comes into view by midday, a narrow gorge where water rushes over rocks 20 feet below. A fallen log serves as a bridge, slick with moss. I'll cross first, Finn says. No. Gareth's eyes meet mine. Brenna crosses first. I'll follow directly behind her. I understand. We're giving them their opportunity, but with Gareth watching my back. I step onto the log. It's slippery, treacherous. The water below roars, cold and fast. Halfway across I hear it, a crack. But it's not the log breaking. It's Torvin, hidden in the rocks above, cutting the rope that steadies the bridge. I have a split second to react before the world tilts. I'm falling. Then massive jaws clamp around my jacket collar, and I'm yanked backward. Gareth, in wolf form, hauls me back onto the bank. His wolf is magnificent even in its diminished state. Black as midnight, with those ice-blue eyes blazing with fury. He's half the size he should be, but still terrifying. Torvin and Aldous bolt from their hiding place, but Finn is ready. He shifts mid-leap, his dire wolf form slamming into Torvin. The other guards surround Aldous. Traitors. Gareth's voice, even in wolf form, carries absolute authority. Torvin snarls, "Hadric will reward us when he takes the throne. You're as good as dead anyway." Then he chose his pawns poorly. Gareth's teeth flash. "Finn, execute them." "Wait," I say. "Question them first. Find out what else Hadric has planned." But Torvin laughs bitter. "We'll tell you nothing, witch. And Hadric has contingencies you can't imagine." Then he bites down. His body convulses once, then goes still. Poison tooth. Aldous tries the same, but Finn is faster, forcing his jaw open. This one, we keep alive. That night, after Aldous has been questioned until he breaks, Gareth finds me by the fire. "You saved me," I say quietly. "Your wolf, it's dying, but you shifted anyway. I couldn't let you fall." He sits beside me, close enough that our shoulders touch. "Brenna, I need to tell you something." His hand finds mine, fingers intertwining. "These past weeks, you've become important to me. More than I should allow, considering I might not survive the month." My heart hammers. "Gareth, let me finish." His thumb traces circles on my palm. "I know you feel it too. This connection between us. It's growing stronger every day. I feel it." I whisper. "It terrifies me." "Me too." He turns to face me fully, but I'm tired of being afraid. I've spent 3 years dying slowly. If these are my last days, I want them to mean something. He leans closer, and this time there's no interruption. His lips brush mine, tentative at first, then deeper. I taste desperation and hope and something that feels dangerously close to love. When we finally break apart, both breathless, he rests his forehead against mine. 24 days, he murmurs. "Help me make them count." And despite every rational thought screaming at me to protect my heart, I whisper back, "Yes, we're playing with fire. I know it, but I can't seem to stop." Chapter 5. Blood and Betrayal. It takes 2 more days of searching before I finally convince the wild wolves to meet me. 16 days remain until the eclipse. I stand alone in a clearing deep within the Black Forest. Morning mist curling around my feet. Gareth wanted to come with me, but the wolves were clear. They'll only speak if I come without other shifters nearby. He agreed reluctantly, posting guards at the clearing's edge, close enough to hear if I scream. I hope I won't need to scream. The alpha of the wild pack emerges first, a massive gray wolf with eyes like ancient amber. Behind her, 6 others fan out in a semicircle. They're beautiful and terrifying, utterly wild in a way the castle wolves never were. "Sister," the alpha greets me, her voice resonating in my mind. "You seek knowledge. We have watched you. Felt your questions. I need to know how to save the king," I say aloud. "The curse that's killing him? Is there a cure?" The wolves exchange glances, communicating in ways I can only partially sense. "There is a flower," the alpha finally says. "The tears of the moon. It blooms only when the moon swallows the sun's light. What humans call eclipse." My heart leaps. Where does it grow? The Vale of Sorrows. A sacred place, guarded by the fiercest pack in the realm. The flower appears for 1 night only, beneath the eclipse's shadow. Will they let me take it? The alpha tilts her head. Only one of pure blood may harvest the tears. Blood of the first pack, the ancient line that spoke to both wolf and human as one. She pauses, and I feel something shift in her attention. "You carry such blood, sister. We smell it in you. Buried deep but undeniable." I shake my head. "That's impossible. I'm just..." The alpha cuts me off with a low growl. "You are more than you know. But there is darkness in you too." She steps closer, her nose nearly touching my chest. "The curse that eats the king wolf has found you as well. Shadow threads connect you both now. If he dies, the curse will consume you faster." Terror claws at my throat. How is that possible? I've only been near him for... The curse was designed for this, another wolf interjects. Whoever wove it knew that someone of the first pack might try to save him, so they made the curse hungry. It reaches for ancient blood, seeking to destroy any who might break it. Then I'm dying too. The words come out hollow. Unless you break the curse before the eclipse, the Alpha confirms. The tears of the moon can sever the shadow threads, but you must reach the veil, survive the guardian pack, and harvest the flower under the eclipse's light. If you fail, both you and your king will perish. I sink to my knees in the grass, the weight of it crushing me. I came here to save Gareth, but I've been marked for death myself. You must hurry, sister, the Alpha says, not unkindly. The shadows grow stronger each day. We can feel them tightening around your heart. Wait, I call as they begin to fade back into the forest. You said I have blood of the first pack. How? Who were my parents, really? The Alpha looks back. That knowledge is not ours to give, but seek the old woman who raised you. She knows more than she has spoken. Then they're gone, vanishing into the undergrowth as if they were never there. I return to camp in a daze. Gareth takes one look at my face and dismisses everyone except Finn. What did they tell you? He demands. I explain everything. The tears of the moon, the veil of sorrows, the eclipse. And then, because he deserves the truth, I tell him about the curse's second victim. I'm connected to your curse now. I finish quietly. If you die, it kills me too. Probably faster. Gareth exhales sharply, guilt flickering in his eyes. I felt it the moment it latched onto you. He admits hoarsely. I knew the curse was spreading, and I still let you near me. You came here to help me, and now you're trapped in this with me. You didn't know. I should have. His voice rises, raw with guilt. I should have considered that anyone trying to save me might be targeted too. Damn it, Brenna. You should have stayed on your mountain. But I didn't, I say firmly. And we don't have time for guilt. We have 16 days to reach the Veil of Sorrows, get past a guardian pack, and harvest a flower that only blooms during an eclipse. We need to move. Finn, who's been silent until now, speaks up. We also need answers about your lineage. If the wolves are right and you carry blood of the first pack, that changes everything. They said Moira knows the truth. Gareth makes a decision. We return to the castle immediately. We get Moira, gather supplies for a longer journey, and head for the Vale. We have no time to waste. The ride back to Iron Peak is brutal. We push the horses hard, stopping only when absolutely necessary. Gareth grows visibly weaker with each passing day, and I can feel it too now. A coldness spreading through my chest, tightening around my heart. The shadow threads the wolves mentioned. We're both dying. 8 days after leaving the Black Forest, we arrive back at the castle. 16 days until the eclipse. 16 days until we both die if we fail. Gareth sends soldiers to fetch Moira from the mountains immediately. While we wait, he summons the council to explain our plan. I'm not invited to the meeting, which suits me fine. Moira arrives 3 days later, looking frailer than I remember. When she sees me, tears fill her eyes. I felt it, she whispers, clutching my hands. The curse found you. Oh, my dear girl, I'm so sorry. You know what I am, I say. It's not a question. The wolves said you've been hiding the truth. Tell me. Moira glances at Gareth and Finn, who insisted on being present. She nods slowly. Perhaps it's time. Past time, truth be told. You always knew, didn't you? I whisper. Moira shakes her head, tears gathering. I prayed I was wrong, child. I told myself the bloodline ended long ago, but I always knew. She leads us to Gareth's private study and closes the door. Then she takes a shaking breath. Your parents weren't simple folk accused of witchcraft, she begins. Your father was Arendor Wyndham, last surviving descendant of the first pack, the original wolves who walked these lands before kingdoms existed. Your mother, Mare, was a healer from the Northern Territories. They kept their identity hidden because the old king feared any threat to his power. My world tilts. I'm descended from the first pack? You are the first pack, Moira corrects. Your bloodline is pure, undiluted. That's why you can speak to wild wolves. It's your birthright. That's why your reflexes are so quick, why you heal so fast. Then why can't I shift? I demand. Why don't I have a wolf? Moira's face crumples with guilt. Because when I rescued you from the orphanage, I was terrified the soldiers would find you. I knew they'd killed your parents for being too powerful, too pure. So I cast a suppression spell, a desperate, foolish thing meant to hide your shifter essence until you were old enough to protect yourself. Her voice breaks, but the spell wasn't flawless. It hid your wolf's mind, but your body could never fully forget what it was. Still, it sealed your wolf so deeply I couldn't reverse it. I tried for years, but nothing worked. Silence fills the room. So I'm a shifter who can't shift, I finally say. A wolf trapped in human form. The tears of the moon might change that, Gareth says quietly. The wolf said it can cure any ailment, break any curse. Maybe it can break the suppression too. Why didn't you tell me? I ask Moira. Because knowledge is dangerous, she whispers. If you'd known what you were, you might have come to the capital seeking answers. And I feared they'd kill you. Just as they killed your parents. I want to be angry. Part of me is. But I can see the love and terror in her eyes. She did what she thought would keep me safe. That night, I'm packing my few belongings when someone pounds on my chamber door. I open it to find Jessa, the scarred guard, looking panicked. Lady Sybil was seen leaving the castle an hour ago, she gasps. And I just heard her maidservant talking. Sybil's been reporting everything to Lord Hadrick. She knows about your ancestry. She knows you're the key to curing the king. Ice shoots through my veins. Where's Gareth? In an emergency council meeting. Finn's with him. But Lady Brenna, she doesn't finish, because shadows move in the hallway behind her, and suddenly figures in dark clothes pour through the doorway. Mercenaries, 6 of them. Jessa draws her sword, but there are too many. They overwhelm her quickly, knocking her unconscious. I glance at the open corridor, then take a steadying breath. This is the only way to reach Hadrick before the eclipse. If Hadrick wants me, he'll have to take me alive, I whisper to myself. And I stop resisting as the net falls over me. Another presses a cloth over my mouth. Some kind of herb that makes the world spin. Lord Hadrick sends his regards, a voice says as darkness closes in. The last thing I see before consciousness fades is Lady Sybil standing in the doorway, watching with satisfaction. When I wake, I'm bound hand and foot in the back of a wagon rattling over rough roads. My head pounds. Through the wagon's canvas opening, I can see we're heading away from the castle. Away from Gareth. Away from any hope of rescue. A mercenary notices I'm awake. He grins, revealing missing teeth. Don't bother screaming. We're miles from anywhere, and Lord Hadrick paid well for your delivery. Why? I croak. Simple. When the eclipse comes and the king dies, Hadrick takes the crown. But first, he needs to make sure you can't save his dear cousin. So you're going to stay our guest until after the eclipse passes. Then, when you're no longer useful, he draws a finger across his throat. 13 days until the eclipse. 13 days to escape, reach the Vale of Sorrows, and save both Gareth and myself. I close my eyes and reach out desperately with my mind, searching for any wolf, wild or otherwise, that might hear my silent scream for help. Sister, help me. Anyone. But there's only silence. I'm alone. Chapter 6. Eclipse and Revelation. I've been Hadrick's prisoner for 15 long days. Today is the eclipse. The Vale of Sorrows lives up to its name. Jagged black rocks thrust up from barren earth, creating natural fortresses and hidden valleys. Ancient trees twist into unnatural shapes, their branches reaching toward the darkening sky. We're camped in a hollow between 2 stone pillars, and I can feel watching eyes from every shadow. The Guardian Pack lives here, but they haven't shown themselves. Yet, Hadrick himself arrived 3 days ago, bringing more mercenaries and an air of smug satisfaction that makes my skin crawl. He's older than I expected, maybe 45, with graying hair and the soft look of a man who's never done real work. But his eyes are cold, calculating, utterly without mercy. The eclipse begins at sunset, he tells his men. The king will be dead by midnight. After that, The girl becomes disposable. I'm tied to a stake driven deep into rocky ground, just far enough from their fire to feel the evening chill seeping into my bones. The ropes are spelled. Every time I try to use my gift to call for help, pain shoots through my skull until I'm gasping. But Hadric doesn't know about the connection I still maintain with the curse itself. I can feel it eating away at both Gareth and me, growing stronger as the eclipse approaches. "You know," Hadric says, approaching with a cup of wine, "I almost feel sorry for my dear cousin, falling for the very weapon designed to destroy him. Rather poetic, don't you think?" "What are you talking about?" I rasp. Hadric settles on a rock near my stake. "Oh, you still don't understand? The curse wasn't random, girl. I commissioned it specifically." My blood turns to ice. "You? 3 years ago, when it became clear Gareth intended to undo our father's legacy. All those reforms, that bleeding heart nonsense about helping the common folk. He was going to destroy everything the crown had built." Hadric swirls his wine. "I couldn't allow that. So you had him cursed." "I had him infected with a very specific curse." Hadric corrects. "You see, I'd heard rumors about survivors of the first pack. I knew that if such a person existed, they'd eventually be brought to help the dying king. So I paid a shadow witch to create something special." He leans forward, eyes glittering with malice. "A curse that would lie dormant until activated by prolonged physical proximity to someone of pure first-pack blood. The closer they got, the stronger it would become, eventually consuming both the cursed and their would-be savior." The magnitude of his manipulation hits me. "You planned this from the beginning." "I hoped for it, though I admit I didn't expect you to be quite so compelling." Poor Gareth seems genuinely smitten. Hadric chuckles. "It almost makes me feel guilty. Almost. You're insane. I'm practical. Gareth was weak, unsuited for rule. The realm needs strength, not compassion. What about my parents?" The question tears out of me. Hadric's smile turns sharp. Arendor Wyndham was a romantic fool, convinced he could hide his true nature forever. But I recognized the threat he posed to the crown's authority. So I whispered in the old king's ear about a conspiracy. It wasn't hard to convince him. Rage burns through me. They were innocent. They were dangerous. Your father could have claimed the throne by right of blood. Your mother commanded respect among the northern packs. Together, they represented everything I've worked to eliminate. And now you'll kill me to complete your plan. Now I'll kill you because you've served your purpose." Hadric stands. "The eclipse is starting. Can you feel it?" I can. The light has taken on a strange quality, shadows growing longer than they should. And the curse, the shadow threads wrapped around my heart, are tightening with every passing moment. "Where is he?" "Gareth. Oh, he's coming. Against all advice, my noble cousin is riding here alone to rescue you. He should arrive just in time to watch you die." But as the first edge of shadow begins to cross the moon, something changes. The wild wolves of the Vale finally show themselves. They pour from the rocks and twisted trees, dozens of them, eyes reflecting the strange eclipse light. The largest I've ever seen, and they're angry. Hadric's men scramble for weapons, but the wolves don't attack. They simply surround the camp, watching, waiting. Before Hadric can give orders, a new sound echoes across the Vale. Hoofbeats. A single rider pushing hard across the rocky terrain. Gareth. Even from a distance, I can see how much the curse has weakened him. He's barely staying upright in the saddle, his face gaunt with exhaustion. But his eyes blaze with fury as he rides into the center of camp. "Let her go," he says, dismounting with visible effort. "Your fight is with me." Hadric laughs, gesturing to his dozen mercenaries. "My fight is with the natural order, cousin. You represent everything weak about our bloodline, and you represent everything poisonous about it," Gareth replies. He draws his sword, though his hands shake. "I should have seen what you were years ago. You should have died years ago." Hadric nods to his men. "Kill him. Make it slow." But as the mercenaries advance, the eclipse light deepens, and something extraordinary happens. The wild wolves begin to sing. It's not howling. It's something deeper, older. A sound that resonates in bones and blood. And as they sing, Their voices are joined by others. Wild wolves from across the realm, called by some ancient signal. I know what it is, because suddenly I can hear them all, not just the wolves in the vale, but every wild wolf within 100 miles, the curse awakening something else. The full extent of my gift. For the first time in my life, I can speak to all of them at once. Brothers, sisters, I reach out with my mind, past the pain of the spelled ropes. The ancient enemy is here, the one who killed the first pack. Help us. The response is immediate and overwhelming. Loyalty, fury, the promise of claws and fangs. "Brenna!" Gareth calls, fighting off 2 mercenaries while barely staying on his feet. "Whatever you're doing, do it faster." The eclipse reaches totality. The world is bathed in blood-red light, and the curse tightens around both our hearts like a vice. I can feel Gareth's strength failing as clearly as I feel my own, but I can also feel something else. A presence moving through the twisted trees, ancient and wild and utterly untamed. The Guardian Pack. They're massive, larger than any wolf has a right to be, their eyes glowing silver in the eclipse light. Their alpha, a creature the size of a bear, approaches my stake with measured steps. Sister of the first blood. She speaks directly into my mind, her voice carrying the weight of centuries. The flower you seek grows at the heart of our sacred grove. But the ancient compact must be honored. Life for life. Blood for blood. I don't understand. I say aloud. You seek to break a curse sealed with death and hatred. To break it, you must offer something of equal value. Will you give your life to save his? I look at Gareth, fighting desperately, his movements growing sluggish as the curse drains him. Yes, I say without hesitation. Take my life. Save his. The great wolf's lips pull back, revealing fangs like ivory daggers. That is not the sacrifice the flower requires. Then what? Your cage, she interrupts. The bonds that have kept your true self prisoner. The spell that severed you from your wolf. Will you break those chains forever? Knowing that once shattered, you can never be only human again? Understanding floods through me. The tears of the moon doesn't just cure curses. It awakens what was always meant to be. Will it save him? I ask. If you are willing to become who you truly are, yes. But choose quickly, sister. The eclipse wanes, and the flower blooms only in the darkest shadow. Around us, the battle rages. Hadric's mercenaries are falling back as more wild wolves pour into the vale, but Gareth is failing. He's on one knee, the curse eating him alive. Do it, I tell the Guardian Alpha. Break the chains. Set me free. She nods once, then howls, a sound that shakes the very stones of the vale. And somewhere in the sacred grove, under the blood-red light of the total eclipse, the tears of the moon begins to bloom. End of Chapter 6. The Choice. Chapter 7. The Reckoning. Chapter 7. Transformation. The Guardian Alpha's howl still echoes through the veil when the spelled ropes binding me suddenly snap. Not cut, they simply disintegrate, turning to ash that drifts away on the eclipse wind. I stumble forward, free for the first time in 15 days. My legs nearly give out, but something holds me up. An invisible force, ancient and powerful, guiding me toward the sacred grove. Follow, sister, the Guardian Alpha commands. Quickly, the flower waits for no one. The battle rages behind me. I can hear Gareth fighting, hear the snarls of wolves and the screams of mercenaries. But I have to trust that the wild wolves will protect him long enough for me to reach the tears of the moon. The grove sits at the heart of the vale, surrounded by stone pillars older than memory. As I stumble between them, the eclipse light shifts, becoming almost liquid. Silver and red mixing together, creating shadows that move with their own will. And there, in the center of the grove, growing from a crack in the ancient stone, is the most beautiful flower I've ever seen. The tears of the moon. It's smaller than I expected. Delicate white petals that seem to glow from within, catching and reflecting the eclipse light. Droplets of something that looks like liquid silver hang from the petals, hence the name. Each drop pulses with power I can feel even from here. I approach slowly, reverently. This is what we've been searching for. What Gareth and I have been dying for. The guardian alpha materializes beside me, her massive form blocking out what little light filters through the eclipse. You understand what you're choosing? Once you consume the flower, there is no going back. Your wolf will wake, and you will be forever changed. I understand. My voice is steady despite my trembling hands. Will it save him? It will save you both. The curse feeds on your shared connection, but it was designed for a human with first-pack blood. It never anticipated what you're about to become. She pauses. A true shifter of the ancient line. I reach for the flower with shaking fingers. The moment I touch it, power surges up my arm. Not painful, but overwhelming. Every cell in my body seems to wake up, recognizing something it's been missing for 21 years. I pluck the flower and bring it to my lips. The petals taste like moonlight and wild places, like freedom and fury combined. I swallow, and the world explodes. Pain. Exquisite. Terrible, transformative pain. I fall to my knees as something inside me tears free. The suppression spell Moira cast all those years ago doesn't just break. It shatters, sending shockwaves of energy radiating out from my body. The very air around me shimmers and warps. And for the first time in my life, I feel her. My wolf. She's been sleeping so long, trapped so deep, that her awakening is violent. Ancient power floods through me, rewriting everything I thought I knew about myself. My bones shift and reshape. My muscles tear and rebuild. My senses expand until I can hear every heartbeat in the veil, smell every fear, taste the copper tang of blood on the wind. The transformation is nothing like I imagined. It's agony and ecstasy, death and rebirth, all happening at once. When it's done, I'm standing on 4 legs instead of 2, and the world has never been clearer. I'm a wolf, a silver wolf with eyes that glow green in the eclipse light. The mark of the first pack, the guardian alpha tells me with something that sounds like pride. Welcome home, sister. But there's no time to marvel at my new form. Because as my wolf awakens, something else happens. The curse shatters. I feel it breaking, the shadow threads that connected me to Gareth snapping one by one. The ancient power flowing through my veins is anathema to the dark magic Hadric's witch wove. My transformation doesn't just free me. It destroys the curse at its root, unraveling the spell that's been killing us both. And because the curse was designed to bind us together, when it breaks in me, it breaks in Gareth too. I feel the exact moment his wolf is freed. Even from here, I sense his shock, his relief, his sudden surge of strength as 3 years of slow death are lifted in an instant. I run. My new wolf body is faster than anything I've ever experienced, eating up the distance between the grove and the battlefield in heartbeats. The wild wolves part before me, recognizing what I am, bowing their heads in respect. The scene I burst into is chaos. Hadric's mercenaries are scattered, trying to fight off dozens of wild wolves. Bodies litter the ground. Finn is there in dire wolf form, bleeding but alive, coordinating the guard who followed Gareth despite his orders. And in the center of it all stands Gareth. But this is Gareth as he was meant to be. The curse is gone, and his full power has returned. He's transformed into a wolf of legend, massive, black as midnight, with those ice-blue eyes that now burn with alpha authority. He's easily twice the size of any normal shifter, power radiating from him in visible waves. When he sees me, everything stops. Our eyes meet across the battlefield, and something clicks into place. The mate bond, dormant until now, flares to life. Not the curse that was binding us, but something real, and right, and eternal. Mine, his voice echoes in my mind, clear as a bell. Yours, I respond, and the bond solidifies, snapping into place with an almost audible click. But we have no time for reunion, because Hadric, coward that he is trying to escape. He's running for the edge of the veil, abandoning his mercenaries to their fate. Gareth and I move as one. We don't need to speak. The mate bond lets us coordinate perfectly. He cuts left, I cut right. and we herd Hadric toward the center of the Vale where the Guardian pack waits. No, Hadric shrieks when he realizes he's trapped. I paid you. I hired you. Kill them. But his mercenaries are no fools. The ones still alive can see what Gareth and I are. Alphas of pure blood, more powerful than any shifter has been in generations. They can feel the Guardian pack's approval, the wild wolves' support, the ancient power flowing through the Vale. One by one, they drop their weapons. Shifters bow to hierarchy, and we outrank everyone here by blood right and power both. You're finished, Hadric, Gareth says, shifting back to human form. He's naked but unconcerned, radiating authority. Surrender or die. Choose now. I'll never surrender to you. Hadric pulls a knife, desperate. I should be king! He lunges at Gareth, but he's too slow. Far too slow. I shift back to human form, the transformation coming easily now, natural as breathing, and catch his wrist mid-strike. My strength surprises even me. I twist, and the knife falls from his grip. You deserve nothing, I say quietly. Not the throne, not mercy, not even the quick death you gave my parents. The Guardian Alpha pads forward, her massive form making Hadric look like a child. Her lips pull back from fangs the size of daggers. This one has violated the sacred laws, she announces. He has murdered innocents, betrayed his blood, and poisoned the land with dark magic. The ancient packs claim him for judgment. No, wait. Hadric's voice cracks with terror. I'm nobility. I demand a trial. The council you corrupted? Finn's voice is cold as he shifts back to human. Lady Sybil has already confessed her part in your schemes. We have proof of everything. It's over. Hadric crumbles then, falling to his knees. He tries to beg, to plead, to bargain. But no one is listening. The wild wolves close in around him, a circle of judgment. They don't kill him. That's not their way. Instead, they escort him to the edge of the Vale where Finn's soldiers take custody, binding him with spelled chains. He'll face trial, Gareth says, his hand finding mine. A real trial, with all his crimes laid bare. And then he'll be executed according to pack law. I nod, satisfied. Justice, not vengeance. That's what my parents would have wanted. As the eclipse begins to fade, the wild wolves that came to fight start to fade back into the shadows, their duty fulfilled. The Guardian pack remains, watching as Gareth pulls me into his arms. You're magnificent, he breathes, his forehead resting against mine. A silver wolf. The mark of the first pack. Do you know how rare that is? How powerful. I'm just glad you're alive. He drops to one knee. Around us, every wolf goes still. I know we've only known each other for 56 days, Gareth says. I know this is fast, but I've never been more certain of anything. You're my mate, Brenna. Not because of a curse, but because of who you are. His eyes shine. Will you bond with me? Under the eclipse, witnessed by the wild packs as our ancestors did? Yes. 1,000 times yes. The Guardian Alpha approaches. Then let it be done according to the old ways. Gareth and I stand together in the center of the Vale, our hands joined. The eclipse light bathes us both as we speak the old words I didn't know I knew, but that come naturally now. I claim you as mine, Gareth says through our bond. My mate, my equal, my other half. I claim you as mine, I respond. My mate, my king, my choice. The bond flares bright as starlight, sealing us together. We'll feel each other's emotions now, sense each other's location, speak mind to mind across any distance. We're mated, truly, permanently mated. And as we kiss under the fading eclipse, I finally understand what Moira meant. My blood did know truths my mind had forgotten. I was never meant to be just human. I was meant to be this, a wolf, a mate, a queen, and I wouldn't change it for anything. Sometimes I wake before dawn and still expect to hear Moira's cottage creak in the wind. Then I remember. The mountain is behind me, and the wildness is within. Chapter 8. The Silver Queen. 3 weeks after the eclipse, I stand on the balcony of Castle Iron Peak, watching the sun rise over the realm I now call home. So much has changed. Everything has changed. The journey back from the Vale of Sorrows was nothing like our desperate ride out. We returned in triumph, with wild wolves running alongside our procession, and the Guardian Pack's blessing ringing in our minds. News of Hadric's betrayal had already spread through the castle, carried by Finn's advance riders. By the time we arrived, the remaining members of the corrupted council had been arrested. Lady Sybil, in exchange for a lighter sentence, had provided evidence against everyone involved in Hadric's conspiracy. The web of corruption ran deep. 3 council members, a dozen guards, and at least 20 nobles who'd supported Hadric's bid for power. They all faced trial. They all faced justice. Hadric's execution happened 1 week after our return, in the same courtyard where my parents had died 16 years ago. I watched from the dais beside Gareth as Hadric knelt before the assembled packs. His crimes read aloud for all to hear. Murder, treason, conspiracy with dark magic, the attempted assassination of the Alpha King. He tried to beg at the end, tried to claim he'd done it all for the good of the realm, that Gareth's compassion made him weak. No one believed him. When the executioner's blade fell, I felt no satisfaction, no triumph, only a hollow sadness that so much death and suffering had come from one man's twisted ambition. But I also felt closure. My parents were avenged. The man who'd orchestrated their deaths was gone, and the realm could finally begin to heal. You're thinking too hard again. Gareth's voice pulls me from my thoughts. I feel his arms wrap around me from behind, his chin resting on my shoulder. I can feel your emotions churning through the bond. I lean back into his warmth. The mate bond is still new enough that sometimes it catches me by surprise. The constant awareness of his presence, his feelings, his thoughts when he deliberately shares them. But I wouldn't trade it for anything. Just remembering, I say softly. 3 weeks ago, I was Hadric's prisoner, convinced I was going to die. Now I trail off, not quite able to say it. A queen, Gareth finishes for me. My queen, my mate, my equal in all things. The coronation happened yesterday. Another elaborate ceremony, but this one felt different from my arrival at the castle all those weeks ago. This time I wasn't a frightened girl with hidden abilities, trying to save a dying king. I was a shifter of the first pack, mated to the Alpha King, standing before the entire realm to accept my role as queen. The new council, purged of corruption and rebuilt with honest wolves who genuinely care about the realm, had presented me with a crown of silver and moonstone. Moira had been there, tears streaming down her weathered face, watching the girl she'd raised and protected become royalty. I still don't feel like a queen, I admit. I feel like I'm playing dress-up in someone else's life. Gareth turns me to face him, his hands cupping my face. You're not playing anything. You faced down mercenaries, shattered a curse that had been killing me for 3 years, transformed into your true form, and helped me capture a traitor who'd been poisoning this realm from within. His ice-blue eyes burn with intensity. You're more a queen than most who've worn that crown by birthright alone. Flatterer. Truth-teller. He kisses me softly. Besides, you're better at the politics than I am. Did you see how quickly you negotiated that trade agreement with the Northern Packs yesterday? Speaking of which, Gareth continues, Finn says the Wild Wolf delegation arrived this morning. They want to formalize the alliance. This is unprecedented. Wild wolves have always kept themselves separate from shifter politics, viewing pack hierarchies as beneath them. But my transformation, and my ability to communicate with them, has changed everything. The Guardian Alpha herself is leading the delegation, along with representatives from wild packs across the entire realm. They want to establish a formal alliance, one that recognizes both shifters and wild wolves as equals. It's revolutionary, it's terrifying, and it's necessary. I'll meet with them this afternoon, I say, after I visit Moira. The morning passes in a blur of meetings and decisions. Being queen, I'm discovering, is less about wearing a crown and more about endless administrative work. Trade disputes, border issues, requests for audience, it never stops. But I don't mind, because for the first time in my life, I'm making a real difference. By afternoon, I'm ready for the Wild Wolf delegation. They gather in the Great Hall, a space large enough to accommodate both human forms and wolf forms comfortably. The guardian alpha sits at the center, her massive form somehow dignified despite the incongruity of a wolf in a throne room. Sister. She greets me as I enter with Gareth at my side. You honor us with your presence. You honor me with yours. I reply aloud. I'm told you wish to formalize an alliance? What follows is hours of careful negotiation. The wild wolves want recognition of their territories, protection from hunters, and a voice in decisions that affect the forests and mountains they call home. In exchange, they offer support in times of war, assistance in tracking dangerous rogues, and shared knowledge of the ancient magics they've preserved. It's exactly what the realm needs, a bridge between the old ways and the new. By the time we finish, night has fallen, and I'm exhausted, but satisfied. The alliance will be signed next week during the full moon, with representatives from every pack in attendance. You were magnificent, Gareth tells me as we make our way to our private chambers. The way you handled that dispute over the northern hunting grounds. Brilliant. I just applied common sense. I protest. Common sense isn't as common as you'd think. He pulls me into his arms once we're alone. I'm in awe of you every single day, Brenna. What follows is passionate, consuming, and perfect. Afterward, we lie tangled together in our bed, the moonlight streaming through the open windows. I have something to tell you, I say quietly, my fingers tracing patterns on his chest. Gareth props himself up on one elbow, looking down at me with concern. What is it? I take his hand and place it on my stomach. I'm pregnant. About 3 weeks along, if Moira's calculations are correct. He goes completely still. We're going to have a baby. I can't keep the smile from my face. A child of the first pack bloodline. Gareth's eyes fill with tears. A child. Our child. He kisses me softly, reverently. I love you. I loved you before the mate bond, before the curse broke, before I even understood what you were becoming to me. I love you too, even when you're being absurdly poetic. We fall asleep wrapped in each other's arms, the mate bond humming contentedly between us. 1 year later, I stand in the training yard, watching a group of young shifters practice their transformations. Some struggle, their bodies caught awkwardly between forms. Others flow smoothly from human to wolf and back again. Good, Marcus, I call to a 12-year-old boy. Remember to breathe through the change. Let your wolf guide you. My hand rests on my swollen belly, now 7 months pregnant with our daughter. Teaching has become one of my favorite duties as queen. These young shifters need guidance, need someone who understands what it's like to struggle with their dual nature. Your Majesty, Finn jogs across the yard. The delegation from the Eastern Territories has arrived. They're requesting an audience to discuss joining the alliance. More packs wanting to join. The Wild Wolf Alliance has grown beyond anything we imagined, with shifter packs and wild wolves working together to create a new era of peace and cooperation. That evening, I find Gareth on our private balcony, the same one where I stood 3 weeks after the eclipse. Now, a year later, I understand. This is where I was always meant to be, not hiding on a mountain, suppressing who I was. Here, with him, building a better future for our child. What are you thinking about? Gareth asks, pulling me close. Everything. How grateful I am. I rest my head on his shoulder. A year ago, I was dying. You were dying. And now you're the most beloved queen this realm has ever known. We're about to have a daughter, and peace has held. He kisses the top of my head. Now we're happy. Happy. Such a simple word for such a profound feeling. I was an orphan, hidden on a mountain, afraid of my own gifts. Now I'm a queen, a mate, a mother-to-be. I found my wolf, my power, my purpose. And I found love. Real, true, unshakable love. Yes, I whisper, watching the full moon rise over our kingdom. Now we're happy. And in the forests beyond, wild wolves lift their voices in song, a song of celebration, of alliance, of a new era dawning, a song for the Silver Queen and her king, a song for hope,